Federal authorities have arrested a Virginia man. This is in connection with the placement of 2 pipe bombs outside the headquarters of the Republican and Democratic National Committees the night before January 6th of 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol. Now, this is according to sources familiar with the matter. They're telling ABC News that we are staying on top of this, so stay with us as we try to learn some more details about this breaking story.
On January 5th, 2021, between 7:30 and 8:30 p.m., an unidentified individual placed pipe bombs near the offices of the Democratic National Committee and the Republican National Committee in Washington, D.C. The FBI and our partners are renewing our call for tips from the public to help us identify the suspect. The FBI's estimate is the suspect's height is approximately 5'7" tall. The suspect wore a face mask, a gray hooded sweatshirt, and black gloves. They used a backpack to transport each of the devices. They were wearing distinctive Nike Air Max Speed Turf shoes, which are black and gray with the yellow Nike logo. Fewer than 25,000 of these shoes were sold between August 2018 and January 2021. The first time the suspect is seen is at approximately 7:34 p.m. at the intersection of 1st Street and North Carolina Avenue Southeast. The person walks southwest on North Carolina Avenue, turns north on New Jersey Avenue, west on D Street, and then south on South Capitol Street. This footage of the suspect on South Capitol Street shows the person setting down their backpack, which is believed to contain one of the bombs at this time. The suspect appears to put on a pair of glasses and scan the area, standing on tiptoes. Before picking up the backpack, turning around, and heading back the way they came on South Capitol Street. After reaching the corner of D Street, the suspect turns around again, and this time walks south all the way down South Capitol Street to a bench outside the Democratic National Committee headquarters building. Here we see the suspects sit on the bench for a few minutes. They do not place the bomb at this time. The suspect then walks east on Ivy Street, turns north on New Jersey Avenue, and then pauses near the corner of D Street before retracing their steps back to the DNC bench where the first bomb is placed. This footage shows the suspect sitting on the DNC bench before placing the first bomb. Here we see the suspect place the bomb at approximately 7:54 p.m. From there, the person walks north on South Capitol Street. East on D Street, south on New Jersey Avenue, northeast on North Carolina Avenue, when we lose video coverage of the suspect at approximately 8 p.m. 8 minutes later, at about 8:08 p.m., we pick the suspect back up on camera heading north on 2nd Street. The suspect walks west on C Street, enters an alley that leads to Rumsey Court, and then walks west on Rumsey Court. This footage shows the suspect pass between the RNC and the Capitol Hill Club, holding the backpack out to the side. The person continues between the RNC and the Capitol Hill Club, then continues north on 1st Street, east on C Street, back into the alley toward Rumsey Court, back onto Rumsey Court, they placed the second pipe bomb at approximately 8:16 p.m. The suspect then turns back onto Rumsey Court, walking east until the person is last seen on camera at approximately 8:18 p.m., wearing the backpack on their shoulders. The bomb is believed to have been placed shortly before this video, based on how the suspect is carrying the backpack.
Nearly 5 years after a suspect placed 2 pipe bombs outside both the Republican and Democratic National Committee headquarters in Washington, D.C. Despite a $500,000 reward, hundreds of hours of video interviews with 900 and some people, still no charges have been filed and no one has been arrested. There are unverified reports about a former Capitol police officer who now works with the CIA as perhaps someone who could be connected. And joining us this morning to break it all down is retired veteran FBI special agent in charge and former head of the Chicago PD, Jody Weiss. Good morning to you, Jody. Nearly 5 years have passed since this incident. Investigators had no problem, as we know, hunting down every single person in the Capitol on January 6th. Why have we not heard more about this report, though, from the FBI, from the DOJ, from U.S. Capitol Police? What is going on here?
Yeah, good to see you, Jan, and happy Veterans Day to all my fellow veterans out there.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, this is really interesting to me. This was an explosive report, if true. And in keeping with the FBI's tradition, they will not normally confirm or deny any case going on. But keep in mind, this claim was based on gait analysis. That is not standalone evidence like fingerprints or DNA. So there's going to have to be a lot more work on this before the government comes forward and actually says something about this. But they have to, because this is such an explosive report. At some point, I've got to believe the Department of Justice is going to have to address this.
And talk about the actual bombs, because as we know, they never went off. Let's kind of revisit this story, because it's, you know, memories right now are different 5 years later.
Yeah, any bomb is going to have 3 components. There's going to be an explosive filler, there's going to be a container, and there's going to be some type of fusing device. In these devices, the explosive was actually homemade black powder using potassium nitrate, sulfur, and charcoal. The container was galvanized pipe, 8 inches long with threaded end caps. Now, the fusing system is where it gets a little convoluted. The bomber used a kitchen timer tied to a power source with some igniters involved in it. Now, the question comes up, why didn't these devices go off? Were they supposed to be a hoax device? The FBI and the ATF has said these devices should have functions. All the necessary components were there. The thought process is the timers jammed, or that the batteries ran out of juice and did not ignite the actual igniters, thereby not causing the explosive mixture to burn.
So if, let's just say, they were part of a hoax, was it a diversion? If this was part of a training mission, would this have already been relayed to everybody?
Yeah, that's a great question. I can't believe on an event like January 6th, so we knew a lot of people were going to be on the Capitol, that this was a training mission. So I would rule that one out.
Okay.
Bombs are typically used for diversionary devices. Oftentimes, law enforcement will use like a flashbang as a diversionary device. So then the question comes up, why? Was the bomber trying to pull resources, bomb squad resources, over to the RNC and DNC headquarters from the Capitol? And why? There were no bombs found at the U.S. Capitol. So until we track this person down and can actually interview him, we're never going to really know.
And I think my question too is you know, this a couple of reports online named someone, which I thought was really interesting. Because if it's not true, that there's a huge liability there for libel. If it is true, why is this person still working allegedly in law enforcement? I mean, what's next in all of this? This is, like you said before, why isn't someone coming out, especially in the federal government, saying this is not true, this is just, we don't know where this came from? Wouldn't they have done that as well?
Yeah, 100%. You said it, you're spot on. If this isn't true, what a slanderous event this would be, and how much liability does that news agency have? But if it is true, if it's new information, I've got to believe the Bureau is going to be looking very deep at this person, full background investigation, and then they're going to have to be interviewed to try to put this in place. But you're right, working in a law enforcement capacity right now, having allegedly been part of the U.S. Capitol Police, this has to be evaluated, and we have to get answers from this. And the sooner the better, because the more this runs, people are going to start asking questions, you know, start smelling like cover-up and what's going on. So I'm sure we'll hear something soon.
That's right. And there's something, the timing of it, why. There's so many unanswered questions in this, and I'm sure hopefully we'll get answered soon. Retired veteran FBI Special Agent in Charge and former head of the Chicago PD, Jody Weiss. Thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it.